Like, what lens should parents be watching the game? Like, what would you say that is the perfect time to have those conversations after good games or after great games? And even when you're watching the game, like are you there really yelling, or are you more of like the big cheerleader?
I think for me, I think as a parent,
hey guys, this is another episode of the Bench Starters. Today we have two guests. It's actually two mothers of daughters that I train. So it's been an honor to work with your daughters as well. But we have Coach Gunnels, Coach Latrina Gunnels, Bre Gunnels' mom, and then I have Latasha Rhodes, Jazlyn Rhodes' mother. So I'm happy for you guys to be on the show today.
All right, thank you for inviting us.
Thank you so much for the invite. Appreciate it.
So the first question I just wanted to ask is, because both of you guys play college basketball, I just wanted to ask, when was the first time that you guys fell in love with the game?
For me, I would say I was probably in the third grade, probably about 9 years old is when, I don't think so much love. I always liked going to the gym where everybody else was and playing against the boys. Mm-hmm. So that's what I think I loved the most.
Mm-hmm. I think I'm kind of the same. I think probably at the elementary age. But my uncle used to have to babysit me all the time. And so we're I think he was 5 years older than I am. So for him to go outside and play basketball, I had to travel alone. So I think playing with him and seeing how guys play, so I was like, hey, this is something I want to do. So I fell in love with it basically from then, and have the passion for it still today. So.
And so, now having daughters or children, and seeing them fall in love with the game as well. When was the first time that you saw Bre and Jazzy like, you know what, I think she really loves the game. I think she really does.
For Bre, I'm going to say when she was probably in the 7th grade. Mm-hmm. Yeah. For a while, Bre was so shy and scared to make mistakes. And she had started off playing in the 4th grade. And because there wasn't a lot of encouragement and pat on the back and, Bre, you're doing really well, even in the mistakes, she kind of faded away from it. She tried to play AAU and play up, but she didn't really get to play. So that really discouraged her. So I think she stepped away and got better on her own, then came back. And I'd say probably about the 7th grade. Mm-hmm.
For Jazzy, I think probably 2nd grade, because she's always played up. And I think the inspiration probably came from her brother, really, because we were at his games. And so she's always been competitive. And so from that point on, I was like, well, why play her at her own age level where she can play up? And I just knew then where she never wanted anybody to beat her. And I can just remember the first game that she played. Was actually a couple games later that she played, and they lost in the championship game, and she cried. And she said, I was not supposed to lose. And I think from that point on, I knew, I was like, hey, this girl is going to go. She's going to go far. And so she's always had that competitive spirit that no one's better than her. So that's truly a blessing to see a young girl like that just have that motivation without somebody having to push her. So
that's really great. So, you guys have two daughters that are really special. I know Jazzy's top 60, Bre's in overseas in Finland this year. So when was the time that besides those moments, when did you figure out man, I think she has a really good chance of, taking this further than maybe just college?
Oh, I want to say possibly maybe about her junior year in college, only because I felt like Bre didn't become more like a complete player until she had several summers of training. Mm-hmm. A lot of what she had wasn't necessarily formalized training. It was more repetition. Mm-hmm. And always working on what was her weaknesses. Mm-hmm. So I think once she actually came back, got some formalized training, more reps, and what she actually needed for college, I could see her peaking and becoming that player.
I remember, like I had just DM'd her one day. I was like, you know what, man? Like I'm just going to, you know what I'm saying? Because I just really just like to help people. So I had DM'd her like, hey man, do you want to get in the gym? And she's like, yeah. So we went up to the High V, and it's like from there, I knew like her work ethic was just a little bit different than some other college girls or some other high school girls I was working out. Because like we was probably in the gym for like an hour and a half, and you guys know me, man. I'm really big on that no water.
Right.
Like man, hey, I call it superstar rest, man. You don't need no water. You don't need no water. So I just remember her just not like complaining about anything, and then we was working on our, like 1 dribble pull ups, 2 dribble pull ups, and just working on footwork, and like. And then, like, the next day, she came back, and it was just, like, so sharp. Like, the next day, it was just so sharp. And then, just seeing, like, just the attitude of just, like, you know what, I don't know everything. I mean, because I never played Division I basketball. I don't coach at the Division I level. So, but her still be able to just to take whatever little nuggets I was giving her, right. That was really great to see, like, her just wanting to be able to learn. Because I think great players want to learn,
Yeah.
And then, so for Jazzy, when did you think like he's like, you know what, like I think Jazzy really, I know it's still really early. She's in 8th grade, but but like what made you feel like she has that it factor for that next level?
Like I said, she's still young, and I think more because girls basketball is still evolving. So now you're seeing these more younger players is starting at an early age to where now they have something to look up forward to. So now it makes you even more hungry to work on your game, and just to know like, hey, if you want to get to the next level, you got to train, and you have to do the things that people don't want to do. But at the same time, we still have to realize she's still a kid, so we can't just go. So I just think for her is just to just see the confidence of it all, and then just knowing that people are like, oh wow, she's just an 8th grade, And so I think looking at that, pretty much say, wow, yeah, maybe she does have it. She can go to the next level. So especially by me playing, it really takes to heart, because I'm like, wow, I have a daughter that likes the same thing I like. I have a passion for it, and she has the same passion. So, yeah, it's great to see.
So I want to piggyback on you're saying like what you need to do or what you want to do. What's some of the sacrifice that you guys have made to make sure that your daughters have been able to reach the level that they want to play at, or sometimes it is those workouts that are late. I remember like when we started really working out, like we used to be at the high school I was coaching at, and I'll call you, hey, let's go. Right. Let's do 9 o'clock.
Right.
And then you be in there till 11. And I mean, it also helped that we was in COVID, so no one's waking up to go to school the next day. But like, what are those sacrifices, and like, what would you tell parents that kids have those aspirations of playing at a higher level or just getting better? Like, what would be some tips that you guys would give for those?
I would just say just keep an open mind to know, like, if this is something that your child really loves to do, like, you're going to have to go through late practices, or, other people got schedules too, and you have a schedule as well. But just keep an open mind to say, hey, we can't get into 9. So you might have to work out from 9 p.m. to 10 or whatever to get that workout in. And just, if that's just something they want to do, just got to push them and help them and be available, So I know sometimes it's hard to do that because we have work schedules. We have to get up early in the morning, cook, clean, all that. But, you make those sacrifices for your kid because you see that that's something that they love to do. So, yeah.
Yep, I totally agree. I think one of my biggest sacrifices is in having 2 younger kids. They also were a part of that encouragement dream circle for Bre. And just now realizing my daughter is a junior now, but she loves volleyball. And that COVID year, of course, she didn't get to play, but she, to me, sacrificed some of what she really liked so that she could follow Bre during high school, during AAU. and be really supportive even during high school. So she's never really even had the opportunity to play club volleyball to get better in something she loves. So I think as a family sacrifice, we all wanted what Bre wanted. And they never made it hard for her. There's never been any, I don't think, tumultuous jealousy or envy.
I don't see that at all.
Yeah, and it was always, if she go, we go. So I think that after looking back, that was probably one of the biggest sacrifices. But allowing Bre to dream, and that all Bre ever wanted to do was play basketball. Even if you tried to give her a plan B, her plan B was still basketball. That was like, that was it. So I was fortunate to actually have her go much further than I was able to go. And I always felt like I was really good in basketball. I didn't think anybody could beat me. And in seeing her, she's 2 times better than I am and better than I was at that age, and just aspiration-wise and staying the course. Because she went through a lot growing up as a young lady. So that, to me, I admire that the most about her. So it made it easy to support her. So easy.
That's good. So I know when we're, watching our children play, I have a little brother, or I have 2 little brothers that play basketball. Watching those games, sometimes it is kind of, I most definitely have this thing. I go in and just be a fan. Like, as long as I don't have my college gear on, I'm most definitely a heckler. I'm most definitely a super fan. But so like when you guys are watching the game, I also know this is a question I want to ask for parents. How do you watch the game? Like, what lens do you watch it? Sometimes, like, I know it's easy to be in there yelling like what they should do, and I know it's hard to do that, like, virtually now, like watching through a phone. But, I know that you're there for every game. So, like, what lens should parents be watching the game? Should it be more as a fan and saving maybe those conversations? Maybe not even after the game. Maybe you should give it a day, like, to talk about the game. Because especially if it's a tough loss, or if I think most kids know that they play bad, I got a little brother who sometimes he doesn't know that, so I gotta let him know that, hey man, you stunk it up, man. But like what would you say that is the perfect time to have those conversations after good games or after great games, and even when you're watching the game, like are you there really yelling, or are you more of like the big cheerleader?
I think for me, I think as a parent, we always want the best for them, and we always we're their biggest fans, no matter what. And so even if the coach tells them something, we were like, hey, we're gonna see it, or tell them how we see it, because other people may just tell you something just to make you feel good or whatever. And as a parent, you want to tell them exactly the way it is. Because once they go through life, that's how it is. Yeah. We're their biggest fan, and we're going to tell them, if it's something wrong that they did wrong, we want them to know. And we would want it to come from us, But at the same time, as a parent, you want to sit back and let the coach do their due diligence, and let the player listen to them. And then maybe after the game, they may have a bad game, but you try not to bring the bad things up. And I've learned when my son was playing, start with the positives, because they pick up on the positives first. No one wants to hear the negative part of the game, because then it goes downhill. They don't want to listen to you. So I've had to learn that. Tell the positives first, and just let them tell you, hey, how you think you did. Just have that open conversation with them, and not just be, finger pointing. You didn't do this, you didn't do that, blah, 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 blah. Because they know, like you say, they know. They know when they play bad, so they will tell you what they need to work on. I think just having an open ear for them, be that avenue to not be that person to always down on them, But like I said, as a parent, we're their biggest number 1 fans. So we're going to be their hard critic, good critic, whatever it is. But hopefully that they listen to us. Sometimes they will drown you out.
Almost definitely.
But just let them know, you have their back, no matter what.
I agree. I think coaching Bre for a long time never allowed me to really be her fan. And I think in realizing so many people around her saw a better athlete sometime than I did.
Yeah.
I had to, at that point, I think she was going into the 9th grade. I either never stopped being a coach or was never her mom when she needed me to be.
Mm-hmm.
So I think at the beginning, it was always a lot of negative, a lot of you didn't do this, you didn't, because I always felt like as my daughter, you should have been better than everybody. You should have been getting to the spot. You should have been closing out. You should have known. And I think it made things a lot more rough for her than for me.
Yeah.
So when it got to the place where different people at different tournaments were like, man, your daughter is really good in the middle. Your daughter is a great dribbler. Your daughter is... And those things I couldn't see because I wanted so much more.
More for her, yeah.
And I think stepping away as her coach, especially her going into high school, allowed me to be one of her best fans and not a critic, but make sure mentally she was staying intact for especially where she was headed.
So you just brought up like the staying able to stay mentally intact. What do you guys do when your child is having those low moments? Like maybe not. I know freshman year she didn't play too much at UNI, or Jazzy, she tore her ACL. What were you guys doing in those low moments? When they have bad games or injuries or not really playing. Like how do you guys encourage? Because I know sometimes it's easy. I mean, you could have easily been like, hey, you ain't playing, let's go somewhere else.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? Like, but I think it takes a lot of mental fortitude for a person to be like, you know what? I really don't deserve to play. Like, I can get better. Like, I can be better. So I just want to know, like, as a parent, what do you say during those times? Because I feel like, and the reason why I'm asking you guys that, because I think you guys are A+ parents. So, like,
thank you.
Like just dealing with you guys within the basketball world and even outside of basketball, it always seems like you guys care so much about your child, but you guys also hold your child accountable, which I think sometimes in this world we don't hold our child accountable or hold people accountable in general. Like if they're messing up, it's never a time where you be like, Jazzy, you guys lost that game and it's because of this little girl. It's always like, man, was you playing defense the whole time, or you had really low energy today, you didn't look like you wanted to play basketball today, so I just wanted to see, like, when your child has those low moments, what do you guys like tend to do?
I think what I try to do is just let her just vent, just if she's having a bad day, sometimes I may just even leave her alone and let her come to me when she's ready. And I know we did go through a time with her ACL injury. She's seen it before because her brother had the same injury. But she always like, I'm not going to be, I'm going to do my exercises. I'm not going to be like him and not doing and things of that nature. But I think just having other people in our circle, just welcoming, loving, and like, hey, this is just a stepping stone. But, you can overcome this, kind of help. But I don't really see too much of her low moments. A lot, she's an outgoing type person, always upbeat. But when she knows she hit, she did something wrong or whatever, she'll say it before we even get to it. But then, we just be quiet maybe a little bit. But we'll, talk about it a little bit. But I do know now, like the mental things, just hearing her talk on the phone, how other kids have, the mental health now comes into play with some of these things, like being tired or, things of that nature. So I think that's what I just try to do, just let her, if she has to vent, just be open mind to her and let her do that and not just, nitpick on certain things,
Like you were saying with Bre at UNI, I feel like had I been that person to tell her, if I were you, I would just come home not really realizing if that was a fragile moment for her already outside the box, being so far outside of what she was normally used to. I think if she would have said, this is something I don't want to come back to, then I probably would have had that conversation. But she actually never said, I don't want to go back. I don't like my playing time. The only thing I encouraged her to do was get better. If you want to play more, you have to come home. And then after talking to Coach Warren and having a very heartfelt conversation with her, she was actually telling me that Bre's practice habits were inconsistent. She would practice really good for 3 days and then not practice the same that third or fourth day. And in Bre's mind, 3 days was good. You know, after 3 days, I should be able to play more now. And that's not consistency.
Yeah.
So after talking to Coach Warren and actually hearing and seeing both sides, not just hearing what Bre was going through, I think I was able to guide her in the right way of that direction. Because this is what you committed to. So committing to it is harder because you left something that you were really used to, and now you're not used to this. This is different. So come home and get better. And she did. She came home and I think she got better almost every summer.
Almost
just
definitely.
working out.
Yeah.
So I think encouragement and really listening to. One thing Bre told me is, she said, sometimes I was just outmatched. She said, you may not have known. She said, but the other person was just better than me today. And those are things I think as a parent I never thought about. Like, dang, maybe she really was just outmatched, maybe. And it took her some time to tell me those things. Like, well, maybe honestly, everything else that was going on in the game, all the other yelling, I was expecting you not to yell. So there were certain things that I learned from Bre on how to react after how she played versus always having something negative to say.
Wow, that's really good stuff. And I know, like, it always takes a village. So, like, how do you guys go about choosing the right people that's around your young lady? Like, you know, now you're a student athlete, and now you're just your athlete now, and now she's able to organically choose those right people that, like, you know, like, I feel like this person looks out for the best interest of me no matter what. How do you guys navigate the scene of, you know, having trainers, strength and conditioning coaches, AU programs? Like, how did you guys navigate through that process of just finding the right people to be in your kid's corner? Because sometimes it is, you know, if someone sees a kid really being really good, you know, like I told you, like, after I saw Bre her freshman year, I didn't want to be one of those guys. Like, hey, Dara's really good. Can I help her out? You know what I'm saying? Because it's just kind of weird. You know what I'm saying? But then I realized, like, you know, why not? You know what I'm saying? Why not?
Yeah.
But then, like, so, like, what do you guys do to, like, navigate that process of finding those people that will help your child, but also, you know, they always have your child's best interest?
I think just talking to the person. But for us, we've been lucky enough, just the right people have come into our lives at the right time, you know. So unfortunately, everybody has been family to us and are in our great circle to push her forward. So I think that's what we have going on right now. But we also, you know, still talk. We talk to people. You can always read body language, whether they a good fit for your kid or not. But you know, just like you always say, hey, ride with the people that's in your corner. You know, and you will know. You will know when they're in your corner and they're not just feeding you just something just to tell you something. So you will know when it's the right fit for your daughter or any player.
I totally agree with what Tasha said. I think Bre she was so strong-minded about what she wanted and who she wanted to do it with. I wasn't always a part of all those decisions. I always wanted Bre to go for, I think, the limelight, and that wasn't Bre. It wasn't. Bre wasn't that exposure player. She wasn't that person that you want to take on the road because they were about to like just straight dominate. Bre just wanted to play basketball at her pace with the people that she was the most comfortable with, because her team, I think, is what she thrived for, was her teammates, not the limelight. And it actually was Coach Collins, I think, that helped me understand that about Bre when I felt we were going to all these exposure tournaments, and it's like, man, Bre's not showing up. I'm paying all this money, traveling, and she's like just a mediocre player out here. And it was Coach Collins that kind of told me that that's not Bre's style. He said Bre's not an exposure player, and putting her in those type of tournaments makes her look like a bad athlete, because that's not what she thrives for. She thrives for her team. So, and it was at that conversation and at that moment, I started to look more as to what her fit was, not, I think, what I thought was best. So, and I think I really appreciated that. It made me like totally look at her whole basketball career, especially high school, totally different.
So, like, what would be some things that you would, tell Latasha while she's, now they're navigating that, that process of coaches calling her, and, of course, it sounds beautiful, like, I mean, everything sounds really good in the, in the beginning until you really get on that campus. Like, what would be some things that you would tell her that you should, hold to a higher standard when it comes to, like, choosing that college that would be perfect for Jazzy when that time comes?
I would say, to me, less is better. And I, again, learned that from Bre. I wanted Bre to take so many recruiting trips. Like, there was so many. Long Beach State was one of the ones I wanted her to go to so bad. And I think in Bre's mind, too much is too many decisions. And it comes with too many answers, too many questions. So just in kind of following some of her footsteps, she had already narrowed down what I actually wanted to see and who I actually wanted to hear from. And I think that was probably one of the best methods, is just narrow down who all I do honestly want to have a conversation with. If it looks good and sounds good, but it's not worth the conversation, then that's an elimination to me, really quick. And probably maybe not so many recruiting trips, just the ones that are really of interest. I think that's probably one of the most key points, and I think dealing with it with Bre and and I feel like Jazzy and Bre have a lot of similarities. Jazzy is, I think, already probably a little bit ahead of where Bre was as an 8th grader, but the paths are so similar and their character is just so similar. And they're one of those people where the world could eat them up because they're not for the world. They're more for their own people. Right. So that's like a scary two-sided sword where you want to keep them close, but you want to actually invest in their decisions. Right. And Bre made a lot of her own decisions, and I just supported them. So I would say that too for Jazz. I think Jazz is pretty strong, and she's going to do well. She's going to do well.
Thank you.
So what I've been doing is like asking one question. So I didn't, So one is a question that you guys don't know. So in 8th grade, 8th grade Latasha, looking at Jazzy right in the face, like, are you better than Jazzy?
I'm always gonna say yes.
Well, that's what I love to hear. That's what I love to hear. That's what I love to hear. So, question. So, what are some things that you see that Jazzy does that you feel like, that Loki kind of reminds me of myself, like?
Just being that team leadership that she has. She's able to take, girls that's not really as skilled at her level, but she's able to bring them in to where it doesn't even show, so they are kind of like all the same, So I just like the way that she's able to gravitate to girls that said, "Oh wow, she's good, so I'm gonna have to do better." Or she passed me the ball, I gotta make sure I make this layup. Or even if they don't make it, she's right there to console them, to say, "Hey, that's okay, get the next one." So that's what I like about her game, as the same. But her defense, it's tenacious, love it. She plays good defense. But just being that all around player, I can see that. Same thing that I would make the baskets, be the leader, play defense. She just knows the game at her age, and I'm just like, wow. She is more advanced than I was as an 8th grade, but I'm still gonna say I'm the better. I was better.
All right. Coach Gunnels, you at your prime and Bre at her prime. You looking at her right in the face. Who you taking? Who you taking?
Okay, let me see. 2 seconds left in the game. I'm taking me. Long game. I'm taking Bre.
Okay.
And I only say that is I think I live in the moment, and Bre lives for the plan. So the one thing that I do feel like is the huge difference in us is she's always been humble, and I didn't quite know how to harness my abilities and my talents all the time. And sometimes you would never know how good Bre is because she's not that spokesman for herself.
Yeah.
So, but me, I was my own billboard. I'm loud.
Talking your cash at all times, huh?
I'm doing everything, and even if I'm losing, I'm still talking. And Bre is not that person. So I always thought that was gonna stumble her, not being bold and out loud. And it did the exact opposite. It allowed more things to come her way, and it has actually allowed her to go farther. So, yeah.
Well, I think we're going to finish on that note. I thank you guys so much. Like I said, you guys are A+ parents with me, because you guys, anytime we need to get some gym time, or anytime I'm saying, hey, my car broke down, can we go tomorrow? And it's not like, oh, James, we need to find someone different. But I really appreciate you guys letting me be just a part of your child's journey. And I look at them like as my little sisters, and I pray for them every day. I like when they have games, I try to text them, or when they're playing bad, I try to be I most definitely try to put the bat in their back, and tell them like, hey man, that's not how we play, man. Let's be a little bit better.
Yeah.
So and just
I totally agree. You do.
You do.
So I appreciate that. But but I do thank you guys. And it's the Bench Starters, and we're signing out.